This is the NA Happy Hour.
Thank you guys for agreeing to talk with us today.
Yeah,
our first in-person live podcast, so this might all blow up in a fantastic mushroom cloud, but it'll be fine. It'll be worth it.
Thank you for making the drive, and thank you for reaching out to us.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
So this week we are joined by Three Notch'd Brewing in Charlottesville, Virginia. Keep wanting to say West Virginia for some reason.
Definitely not the same.
Not at all. Who is primarily an alcoholic brewing company.
Yes.
Who has recently come out with a non-alcoholic beer. Let's just dive right into it. Can you guys start first by introducing yourselves, who you are, what you do here at the at Three Notch'd, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. I'll start. My name is Dave. I'm the founding brewmaster here for Three Notch'd. We started this fun game here about 8 years ago in Charlottesville, and now fast forward, we have our own distribution arm that covers over half of the state, and then we're in another distribution warehouse that covers the rest of the state. So right now we're fortunate enough to be distributed in every single corner of the state, and we're now the third largest craft brewery in the state, which is something really to be proud of. And this guy came along and joined us about 4 years ago. 4 years ago, Brian Clayton. He is our head pilot brewer. And his biggest claim to fame right now, of course, today is he is the mastermind behind this NA. I get to have a lot of credit with all the other beers, but I was more than happy then to let him take this one and do all the research and all, because you really get into some nitty-gritty science with this. And he's much smarter than me, so it worked out.
Yeah, but you have a much prettier face. That's why you're the brewmaster.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's just like we got the brains, we got the face. It works out for the happy hour. Yeah.
Yin and the yang.
And Ian's got our nice accent that people like. So tell us a little bit about what got you to say, let's try an NA. How'd that?
I mean, George, our CEO, who's always, kind of future casting. He's always got his eye on what's coming next, what places that we can innovate, spaces that we can get into. I know he had a lot of interest in that, and my first assumption about it was that that's not something that we'd probably be able to do, because I was thinking filters or vacuum stills or some way of like de-alcoholizing, and we don't have the space for anything like that. It's pretty packed in our brewery. Yeah. And when I started digging around trying to figure out how people make these things, what we would need, and after about a week or two of doing some research, I came back to him and said, well, this is how I think we can achieve this with the equipment that we have right now. And, I'd be able to test that out on the pilot system first. And he's like, green light, man, go ahead, go for it. So we did a few test batches, and then I did like some blind taste testing with like people who work in the brewery, just lined up the different batches I'd made and just said, give me your thoughts on each one. What do you like? What do you don't like? What do you notice? And then just like rank them for me. Which one do you like the best? So on and so forth. And so this one, in its earlier form, this is the one that came up as the winner. And so I pursued this one as our first release, and that's kind of where we are right now.
Awesome.
I must say that how impressed I was. I mean, this was a shot in the dark, like, let's give this a try. None of us had any experience brewing NA at all, and Brian just kind of started opening a book and started clicking on the internet and doing research and kind of thinking about other aspects of yeast that we don't think about at all in our daily career. And we've done a couple test runs of seltzer, and it was like, got to get it right. Let's try again. Getting there. Let's try it again, which Brian also spearheads. But with NA, the very first one out of the batch, I said, "Holy crap!" Like it nailed it right from the beginning. So it definitely is a big claim to Brian, right from the beginning. Because usually we were expecting like, all right, maybe 6 months from now we'll have something special. But right out of the gate, we were like, all right, got to get this in cans. Got to get this on the big system.
Yeah, but you guys like came back to me and they're like, yeah, no, they're canning this. And I was like, what do you mean they're canning this?
Yeah.
I thought I was gonna dump this down the drain and start over on the next one. They had it on the market before
That's awesome.
before I even knew what was going on.
Well, the biggest question mark was the preservative, of course.
Yeah.
Because there's still a lot of sugars that are waiting to be fermented in there. So that was really the only time constraint, and that's why we canned it initially, is just to test the shelf life a little bit. There's small batch that we only kept in house. That we did what's called hot boxing, where we warm it up into the 80s, low 90s to speed up any fermentation process that might be happening.
Kind of make it that nice happy medium where the yeasts love doing their thing.
Yeah.
And
So we wanted to make sure in the can there was no activity at all, testing the rates of different preservatives and stuff like that. But yeah, here we go. And I think we owe a lot to Athletic Brewing Company of kind of your original question of why. They just skyrocketed out on the market immediately, and in their first year, I mean, they're doing the size, 50% more than what we're doing after 8 years.
Yeah.
So we really knew they've got something special, and we wanted to be a part of it. And Brian was Johnny on the spot with getting some work underway
That's awesome.
and getting something in the tank.
That's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about the beer itself? Why you went with this style? What you did? What kind of any specialty ingredients that you used to make this one? Or
Sure, and Dave will just smack me if I'm about to give away any proprietary. Honestly, I I don't want to admit, how silly I felt like starting this project. Like, it feels silly now. Basically, I said, okay, I've got no idea where to start with this, so I'm going to take one of our beers that's like a known quantity, and we always have it around, and I'm just going to make it off of that. So I started with the grain bill, the same hop schedule, everything for one of our beers, that are alcoholic beers, and just went from there. Like, that was my baseline. So because I was like, if this works, and some of the stuff I'm reading and some of these studies are saying, like, this university tried this, they did this, and in a study people couldn't tell the difference. So I was like, well, I want to know if I can tell the difference.
yeah,
So I made it pretty much, didn't quite have the exact same grain bill, the quantities, but were smaller, but the grain percentages were the same, and basically tried to clone, make an NA clone of one of our alcoholic beers, and that's kind of, and then, like I said, I made tweaks from there. There's no special ingredients. This is just water, hops, yeast, grain. So nothing special from that perspective. But yeah, I was trying to clone one of our big sellers.
And is this completely fermented, or is it like arrested fermentation when it did?
Yeah, it's.
And I'm not sure how much you can get, obviously.
Right. It's.
tell us everything.
I'm gonna tell you, there's sugar in there, so it's not completely fermented. It would have been fermentable and not shelf stable had we not looked into how to make it shelf stable. So just like a soda has a lot of sugar and needs to be shelf stable, or anything that gets in there is gonna ferment a soda. We had to do that, figure that out, that process also.
In a nutshell, we stunt the fermentation.
Yeah.
So the yeast does not create alcohol, but the yeast still creates some body and some flavor, basically. And I really do think we have something special here, and we're actually very careful right now on what we say, because there's a lot of amazing breweries out there that can make an amazing product just like ours.
Yep.
But yeah, in a nutshell, it is just kind of the yeast manipulation. So it doesn't eat off the sugars, but it's still active in there. It's still alive, and still creates a lot of body and flavor.
Yeah. I know for me, we wanted to have something with some body, and as I was trying to target, well, how much grain do I use? We do everything in Play-Doh, degreased Play-Doh, So, which is just a measurement of the sugar content of your wort. Right? So we were, as I was doing this, and I tried different concentrations. I reached a point where I was like, anything below that to me is just too watery. I don't want it. And so this is about as low as I'm willing to go.
It's good. It's got good balance. It really does. Good balance. As you said, it has a body to it. It's not too much of a punch in the face like some IPAs can be in other styles, but it's not watery by any means. It's a beer.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of fun with testing the waters with this and putting the can in a koozie. And I know my brother is big on every once in a while when he's a captain of a boat. He has a boat that they keep out in the Chesapeake Bay, and he spends most of his time with his family out on the boat. And he loves beer and loves craft beer. So NA, he's responsible for his family behind is it the wheel?
Sure.
But anyhow, so he was visiting for the holidays 2 years ago now, and I put it in a koozie, and I said, just drink this, let me know this is a new IPA we got. And he was like, wow, this is pretty good. And he noticed the beer that Brian was talking about is the Ghost. The recipe is very similar to our Ghost Pale Ale. He was like, this kind of tastes like the Ghost a little bit, but it's different. And I said, but you'd enjoy it? He's like, yeah, it's good IPA. And then I said, take the koozie off, and he saw it was non-alcoholic. He says, get out of here. I couldn't believe it.
I've done that with a few people. They've been completely against non-alcoholic beers. Like, why the hell am I going to drink that? Like, what's the point? Like, all right, fine. I did the koozie test. Try. What do you think?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, take it out of the koozie. No shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a growing market for it. The way I put it, I mean, there's something special when you're out at the bars with your buddies and somebody's celebrating a promotion or something. There's something really special about a cheers when everybody clangs their glasses together, and there's just a little stigma behind an iced tea glass going in or a water glass
or Diet Coke or something.
It's not quite the same. So I think there's a lot of people that want to be responsible and not necessarily have a lot of alcohol, but they want to be with their friends and not stand out and not be a stick in the mud or draw attention to themselves. Some people battle with alcohol disease that they try to not bring to light, and got a busy day at work in the morning, and but they still want to hang out, have beers with the guys, and also, and now they can have flavor. They've got a golden straw fizzy drink in front of them that they're fitting right in and not even thinking about it.
It's not O'Doul's. It's not Beck's.
Yeah.
It's not Coors.
St. Pauli.
Oh my. Yeah.
It's craft.
Or even Guinness 0.0. Right. So like they just had their beers recalled and stuff because of
shelf stability.
Shelf stability, which is going to ask you how you pasteurize it. Like if you use like Velcorin or if you use something else. But like even their beer, I've heard that the way they make it, it's not the best by all means, because they do remove the alcohol for their process.
Sure.
So
we thought about that, but a dealcoholizer is what, a couple $100,000?
Yeah,
just a few pennies.
and not a small machine, and the RO filters are absolute water hogs. I mean, I think one of the things that we looked at with that solution was how much more water, and breweries already are pretty water intensive, but how much more water that piece of equipment by itself would be using was pretty
and a lot of that process to remove the alcohol will remove a lot of flavor and aroma as well. So it seems, double the workload if you're going to put all that flavor in just to rip it right back out again. So we're really happy with the convenience of our method that we came up with, never having alcohol in it from the beginning.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. That seems to be what more and more people are doing. It's more of a controlled brew, a controlled ferment. Moving away from the burn it off or vacuum distillation or spinning cones or what have you. Which is good. It's great to see. Yeah. It's creating a competition within the market.
Right.
Absolutely. And what is the exact ABV of this? Because a lot of people, ironically, do care. Like, what is it? Because is that really well informed that people like there's a difference between alcohol-free and non-alcoholic?
Right.
And some people really care. So is it
Yeah,
like
we're about 0.3.
0.3?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
0.3, 0.35 is what we have in the can. Yeah, it's right there. I mean, when you get into the hundredths of a percent, you're going to get a little slight variation, but we're not going to put it on the market if it's dangerously away from that. So.
And how does it compare with the alcoholic version? Like, have you had anyone do a comparison between the two?
I mean, being someone who's brewed both of these, I could smell them and tell you which one was which.
Yeah.
I could probably just look at them on the table and tell you which one was which.
Yeah.
So no, I haven't actually tried to side by side it with the original alcoholic version with anyone.
It's morphed a little bit from that recipe anyhow over time, and we've kind of dialed it in specifically for this NA. Like I know it's mostly Cascade hops, less Amarillo, which the Ghost is Amarillo heavy.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'd love to try the Ghost a little later.
I was just hoping we do that side by side.
I'm just mulling that over. Is it what's the color difference on the Ghost versus this one?
Well, so the Ghost is going to initially have a higher Play-Doh, degrees Play-Doh, and so that's also going to add a deeper color. There's just more grain to water, essentially, ratio at the beginning, and so there's all the same grains in the same percentages, but more of them. So it's going to have basically it's going to be the same kind of color family. It's going to be a little darker. Yeah.
Awesome. And is the Ghost kind of like your flagship beer that you have
no,
here?
actually, Minuteman is our flagship.
It's one of them. It's a beer we've had year round since the first spring that we were open. We had been open about 6 or 7 months, and then that spring in 2014, we introduced Ghost. And it's just a really nice, easy drinking springtime. Citra, Amarillo, Cascade. That's another hop that's no longer in the NA right now. How it started with the NA, how it morphed with Citra, Amarillo, and Cascade. Then as we were doing some test batches with the preservatives and everything, we used the cheaper hops of the Cascade, so we weren't wasting the expensive Citra and Amarillo. But then it kind of took off as a Cascade hop beer, and then we went with it. Yeah. And we're really excited about the future of this. We're actually about to launch a nationwide distribution shipping program.
That's awesome.
For the NA. And so I definitely wanted to start off the gate without being able to know what to expect. I wanted to start out with a hop that I know I can get plenty of if this thing really takes off. But I think the future is wide open. We're looking forward to brewing not only other IPAs with other different hops, and now we can have fun with more experimental hops, Australian, New Zealand hops, and the huge variety of American hops that we can do. But also, Brian is already at work looking into NA stouts, where NA Goza, Golden Ale, Amber, you name it now. The future's wide open now with the different styles that we can do.
How are you coming along with the stout? Because those seem to be more of a
It's still on the drawing board right now.
Okay.
It's still on the drawing board.
It's the mouthfeel, right? Something that I've heard that's
yeah.
unique that a lot of these breweries have used. I don't know if you've thought about this, but using lactose.
Oh, sure.
So there's a company called Big Drop Brewing out of the UK.
Yep.
That I think is going to be the second biggest non-alcoholic brewery in the U.S. Definitely going to compete with Athletic. And they put lactose in some of their beers to really give it that mouthfeel.
Yeah. That's certainly something that we're well aware of, and it is still on the drawing board though. I haven't actually brewed a test batch of it yet. But, working my way through that one and making some considerations on what I want to tweak and how. The next thing, actually the end of next week, I'm going to be pursuing a few tweaks to this one on the pilot system and seeing what I can do with the NA IPA that we have right now. Just I'm a tinkerer. I'm never going to be happy. I'm super thrilled people love it, but I'm just a curious thinker, and I just always am kind of trying to develop the next experiment, and so
always building.
Until somebody in the company above my pay grade tells me to stop tinkering with this one, I'm gonna keep doing it. So.
And
I don't think anybody ever will.
What do you think that could be better?
Anything really. Like I certainly want to address body, head retention. To me as a brewer, I think there could be more of the sort of like beer flavors that are not alcohol. So I'm pursuing ways of trying to like increase a beer flavor. I want to get it as close to the Ghost, its sort of original form as I can.
Absolutely.
And I want to just keep pushing that. So I want to look at different yeast strains and a whole lot of other aspects. Address the grain build. There's grains that I can change in or out to make effects to the body or the color or head retention or anything like that. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing it. So
it's beautiful to hear because as we view it, it's like NA craft beer is like the new craft of craft. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a whole new world.
Yeah.
That it's really cool seeing brewers getting passionate about it because I've listened to a couple of podcasts of these brewers talking about it and they're just like shitting on it, saying, it's just a trend for now, it's not going to be a thing in the future.
It's not going
It's here to
anywhere.
stay, but it's cool that people are like,
It's not a phase, Mom. It's a way of
right.
life.
I mean, I didn't have that stigma against it. To me, it was just an interesting new problem to solve, and that's kind of how I got into it. And then I joined like a bunch of Facebook groups that are about NA because I wanted to hear what people were saying, what they were trying. And I'm still just kind of a lurker on those. I don't really engage, but I do say somebody's like, oh, I just tried this, and I read all their comments about like what they like or don't like about it, so that can kind of inform me on where people's tastes are. And the more I got into that, the NA scene, the more I actually started questioning like why do I want a beer with alcohol in it? There's the philosophical questions to me are just as interesting as the as the actual like problem solving science on how to make it. So addressing the social rights around alcohol. Do we need the alcohol to have the social like rights that we
Is that really like what you need in order to have a good time, or do you really need the alcohol? If you really need the alcohol, maybe that's the time when you shouldn't be having the alcohol.
And what makes the alcoholic beverage special in the first place? Like, why did these things form around that in the first place?
Which is us, right? And that's just the way we use them. We made it special. So if we can like twist it around, and we really focus on us, which is that whole mindfulness of just the whole situation ourselves, and I think it's only going to increase. But it's really cool to see that like a brewer is having that perspective because that's very unique. That's really cool to see. I've never talked to someone who actually makes alcoholic beer.
Philosophy of beer.
That really thinks about
This
like
podcast
why do
just
I
got
drink
deep.
this? You know what I mean?
Hey, I'll let it get as deep as you want. But
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there's a whole other aspect too that is really attractive for non-alcoholic drinkers is this world is taking a very, very great shift. This country anyway is taking a great shift for being more diet minded and calorie counting and sugar counting and all. And a can of non-alcoholic IPA is only 90 calories. When you compare that to the Miller Lite, Coors Light comparisons with 95 calories in 12 ounces, you've got a lot more flavor, a lot more hardiness and all. But you're still, it's a very health conscious world we're getting to live in more and more. Now that the generation that grew up in the 80s like me, when TV dinners are awesome, processed food is so convenient on them, we all just got really fat. Now our kids are like, whoa, this is horrible food that our parents have been eating, and they're much more health conscious too. So the non-alcoholic drinks like that can also hit that market as well of people that they got to get up and go to the gym at 5 a.m. before work. They don't want to be hungover, and they only want so many calories for that evening. So
I mean, for liability reasons, I'm not going to talk about health benefits of non-alcoholic on a podcast that you guys are going to release to the internet, because I don't want to be seen as making claims. But there's a lot of research about how much.
And I think, as you were saying, the consumer market is almost kind of forcing the accountability aspect on the companies, saying we want to live healthier. If you still want our business, you need to do better.
Sure.
Like the big thing from this week was apparently Subway's tuna fish is not actually tuna fish.
I heard that.
Like
Oh,
at
no
all.
shit.
Yeah, they
Like
tested
none
it
of
in the lab, and
it. It's like
there's no fish at all.
no. Subway's tuna fish is not tuna fish at all.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I'll say it. The lawsuit's already out there. They can't come after me for it. But again, like people are now doing the tests and pushing the companies to do better,
Sure.
and they need a change, or people are going to stop going to it. And I love how that's happening in the craft beverage scene, because it's such a great culture that brings people together, and now it's even more inclusive than it was, because you have these options of drinking non-alcoholic beverages, where like if I'm dating someone and they're sober or they're the DD, they can still come to a place like Three Notch'd and enjoy a quality beverage because you noticed the trends and you took advantage of what was coming down the pipe, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, hey, to kind of conclude things up, so the future of this bad girl. So when does that come out, like online, for people to order? Like,
That's a good question. Not positive exactly when, but we're hoping to launch it within the next couple months.
Okay,
Hopefully
sweet.
by spring, mid-spring or so. We're hoping to, but we'll definitely stay tuned to our Facebook pages. Three Notch'd Brewing.com is our website. And as soon as we have a more clear date, we'll definitely be broadcasting that for sure.
Yeah. And we'll definitely retweet, Instagram at hashtag.com.
Or if it's another retailers, we could post things about like whatever retailer.
We've got some really big expansion plans coming this spring as well. We've got a bunch more tanks coming in.
Awesome.
And we're even improving the capacity of our brew house as well. So it's also going to hinge on that, not just all the boxes and tape and the space for shipping, but also we got to make sure once we launch this that we can brew enough to ship all over the country and to keep up with. But for right now, you can find it all over the entire state of Virginia. Total Wines carry it, Kroger's, Wegmans, most of your mom and pop bottle shops throughout the state are carrying it. So we're really blessed to have the support of all the retailers to get it out there in people's hands for us.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Good.
Absolutely.